talk about the latest shift. So this is never going to be the EXP show.
No.
But that statement that you just said, talk about that a little bit. The difference with, running a local team, to now what you're doing, impacting almost 2,000 agents.
Yeah, I mean, I think that EXP just gave people like me and you an ability to impact more people at a scale that we could never achieve on our own. You build a real estate team, and if you're listening to this and you have a real estate team, I would guess that you're probably somewhere in the area of 5 to 15 agents. And you're like, I don't want any more agents, because there's a capacity that you have, a capacity to providing value for these people, to mentoring and shepherding these people. And that's how I ran my team too. It was like 5 to 15 people, on any given year. And that was it. It was never going to be 50 people, because I couldn't run my model with 50 people. It was inhumanly possible. But when EXP came along, it was like a way for me to shepherd my core 5 to 15 people, and then actually serve them at the highest level, which is to encourage them to get out of the nest and do their own thing. And that's something that I never did before EXP, because I was like, well, I need these people to stay right here. And when EXP came along, and I didn't know at the time, Lars, that me saying, oh no, you need to stay right here, was not only robbing them of their highest potential, but it was also creating this feeling inside of me that was like a cancer. That was like, I will help you so long as it helps me, but I could help you more, but I won't. And that creates a weird relationship that I think creates feelings that can be felt even if they're not spoken. So that all that was going on for years. And like I said earlier, I'm very progress oriented. So if I feel like I'm hitting a ceiling and I'm not making progress, it tends to wear me down, and I start to lose my passion and interest. And I'm sure people listening to this can relate to it, especially in a market like we're going into now. It feels even like less progress. But what happened is these people would leave to go find their next step, their better version of themselves. And I would be out of that relationship. So EXP says, hey, you can do that same thing you're doing with them. But when the person has the opportunity, the ability, or the desire to go beyond you, you can help them on that journey. And you'll still be taken care of, and you'll still be in relationship with these people. And I mean, my story, man. I was out of my market. I was traveling the country. I moved to Montana. That's a long ways away from North Carolina. But really, it was a symptom of a greater problem that I couldn't solve, that I was running from, and I was running out of this industry. And as a last ditch effort, I said, okay, now that my ego and my identity's removed from North Carolina in this business that I built, maybe I can take a look at EXP. And I looked at it and I said, this has been the answer I've been searching for all along.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one thing onto that. And it really highlights what EXP gave us the opportunity to build upon. And this is just next month. And this is not my expertise or John's expertise, but we have a guy coming on, or we do a Tuesday production mastermind. He's taken, I think for the last 15 years, he's taken over 100 listings, not with a big team, over 100 listings a year for like 15 years straight. He's going to give away the top 10 things he does to generate listings in any market. We've got a gal in South Carolina I say gal like I'm from the 1950s. We've got a kick-ass real estate agent who's female in South Carolina. She gets most of her business, like 100+ deals per year, from social media, and she's going to give away all of her best stuff. We've got a guy in our organization, not even in our organization, but in the bigger organization, who's going to teach us how he's using AI in his real estate business. Those are 3 of the 5 calls we have set for May. And so, again, this is not a commercial for Game Changers. And if you are resonating with any of this, the only thing we can offer you is just a conversation about your business. So agentgamechangers.com, you can kind of just get the lay of the land of what we're doing. And we've got production masterminds and all the stuff. I found this quote before we just kind of got into that last segment, and it's a Brian Tracy quote. The ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. So talk about that a little bit. as you look back on your journey, the things that you did, the door knocking, the whatever you were willing to do, the 7 days a week, the evenings, right? And making sacrifices to the life you have now. What are some of the things that, agents really need to start doing or consider doing as we enter, into this unsettling time that I think we're going to go through?
I'll answer that, but read that quote one more time because I want to add something to it.
Yep. The ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success.
And I would add happiness, because I think that it's having that discipline and that delayed gratification that makes you appreciate every good thing. One of the things that I've learned as my lifestyle has changed and my income has changed is that when you can have anything you want at any time, that can be a very, very unfulfilling place, believe it or not. And it's having that, like, hey, I worked for this. Hey, I planned for that. That delayed gratification greatly enhances the excitement or the joy over that thing or that experience or that relationship. So, I think looking back, the reason that let's be very tactical. The reason that my business grew and I was able to make the business moves that I made is because my lifestyle never grew with my income along the way. Too many agents, they make a little bit of extra money and they upgrade their lifestyle accordingly immediately. And then they can't make good business decisions because they're living at the top or above their means. And I think we'll find a lot of agents in that situation as this market changes right now, unfortunately, but hopefully they'll learn that lesson moving in. You've got to have margin. That's margin of your time, margin of your finances, margin in your relationships, or you're never going to be able to capitalize on what's right in front of you.
Yeah. What's that expression? It's like, all hat, no cattle.
Yeah.
Our industry, I mean, you've got agents, driving cars that are $1,200 a month lease payment, and, they've got no residual income. They've got no net worth to speak of. And they're sort of, I don't even know if it's keeping up with the Joneses as much as, just kind of playing the part of that, like, super successful, real estate agent. As we wind down here, any thoughts kind of looking back on the journey? We get to coach agents every week now in our organizations. Any things that you're seeing that are working, or advice you want to give to those that are listening?
Man, I think that if you're listening to this and you're struggling or you're fearful about what's coming around the corner, the more I talk to agents and have the ability to be in communication with agents, the more I realize, like, most of us are in the same boat. A few of us make a couple decisions or distinctions or get coached into a path that's slightly better or moving at a better rate to get us to where we want to go. But so much of us are in the same boat. So if you're a broker right now and you're feeling the pinch, so is everybody else. If you're an agent right now and you're nervous, so is everybody else. So I think just get honest with where you're at. Have open conversations with people that are not where you're at, that are closer to where you want to be. And, like, I go back to my early days, like, it was always about getting around people that were ahead of me. And that was the benefit of coaching. It wasn't so much what they did in coaching. It was getting around people that were ahead of me that said, look, you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing. Or, hey, stop doing that and start doing this. Start tracking this and being more diligent with your time. Here's a marketing piece. Do that. But the reality is, a lot of us get the right marketing piece, and we don't understand that the right marketing piece has to have the right frequency. So if you have the right marketing piece and you mail out 50 of them and you don't get a result and you think it's the marketing piece, you have an incorrect expectation because you needed to mail 5,000 of them. And it's just having somebody ahead of you that can say, hey, your activity and your desired, where you want to be is in alignment. And a lot of times that's all it takes, right? You can look at somebody and you can coach somebody. Lars, you did this for me. You looked at my business and you said, hey, your activity isn't in alignment with where you want to go because, John, you're doing too many things. And that was, like, mind-blowing to me at the time because I thought I had to do more and more and more and more. And in fact, I had to do less, but I had to do less things better. And we stopped doing, I think I was doing, like, probably 10 to 15 things marketing wise. And you were like, what if we just do these 3? And what if we get really good at these 3? And that changed everything in my business. So, get around somebody that can give you that clarity, that insight.